Now, back to Californian Radio on Current Radio News Talk 1180.
And we're back on a Tuesday. We'd love to hear from you, 842-KERN. That's 5376 or 1-800-640-KERN, 5376. Are you planning to run for anything in the future? Or you just run for your life?
I just run for my life. Are you referring to the fact that most of my beard is gone?
Well, yeah. I mean, most politicians have to shave their beards before they run for elected office, right? I mean, it's the thing to do.
Yeah, I guess there's you kind of portray this criminal element if you have the beard, so or
shady character,
or a campus revolutionary or something,
really.
Leon Trotsky. So yeah, you got to go clean, and then on November 7th, as our guest was saying earlier, perhaps
back comes the stubble.
Well, Terry never did have. We're with Terry Phillips, radio personality extraordinaire over many years. And now a candidate for 23rd Congressional District, and Terry had a great beard, and he's sacrificed. There are many sacrifices to be made when you run for office.
Where were you on the radio?
I was on Valley Public Radio, which was the NPR, the two NPR stations in Fresno.
I remember reading that. Yeah.
Quality of life.
Yeah.
And you had some great shows.
It was this time slot, by the way, 9 to 10 on Tuesdays.
Nice. Yeah. You got the pipes for it.
Well, thank you. And Bob, I have to tell you, it was Kevin McCarthy who persuaded me to shave my beard.
Is that
he was advising another young candidate, and he said, you will get 5% more votes without facial hair.
Wow.
So, Kevin, thank you. Thank you for helping me to defeat you.
And he has helped you in other ways by putting out a record there that you can run against.
Certainly.
Why on earth are you doing this?
I found the highest cliff in town with barbed wire and broken glass down at the bottom, guys with big sticks waiting to beat on me. It's a crazy thing because as a journalist, it's the last thing in the world that you want to do. We like throwing stones at politicians.
You kind of got going over to the other side.
That's right. But as you might remember, I wrote an op-ed piece for the Californian last year, and I said somebody should run. It's undemocratic. It's un-American. It's just wrong to have one name on the ballot. Well, this time we have more than one, but we essentially have only one guy, time after time after time, for years running for office. Mm-hmm. And I understand why the Democrats don't put up a candidate. They have such a small percentage of voters. But, gee, there's so many of us who are independent and a declining number who are Republican that it shouldn't be about parties anymore. Bob, do you know that there is a U.S. government code of ethics?
I don't know if I ever thought about it.
It was passed by Congress in 1958, and the first thing it says is that government officials must put loyalty to country above loyalty to party. Now, how many politicians do you think do that?
Well, I think they'll all say that they do that,
Yeah.
but sometimes or very often, their actions don't back that up.
Well, so Mr. McCarthy clearly has put loyalty to party ahead of loyalty to country since he aspired to be and is now a leader of his party. Well, we didn't elect him to be a leader of his party. We elected him to represent all of us, and he doesn't do that. So that's the answer to your question. That's why I'm running.
Is he not spending enough time in the district, do you think, dealing with local problems?
He's been, quote, representing this district for 10 years, 2 terms in Sacramento, 3 in Washington. He doesn't live here. I have spent more time in this district, and I admit I'm not born in Bakersfield. He likes to brag he's, 3rd, 4th, 5th generation Bakersfield. But I was born in the Valley, I was born in Fresno, and I have spent more time in the last 10 years in this district than he has. He comes home on the weekend, that's great. But how does he know what the rest of us need or want? He doesn't live here.
Well, what do the rest of us need and want? What are some of the issues that you think he ought to be fighting for that you'd be fighting for?
There is no doubt in anyone's mind that we are suffering from tremendous unemployment, almost unprecedented, almost worse than during the Great Depression. According to the U.S. Census Department, about 1 in 3 Americans, and slightly more than that here, live in poverty. Almost half of us live near poverty. We're a paycheck or 2 away from not making it. Mr. McCarthy does not believe in creating jobs. He's stated as much. He's opposed to that. He believes in cutting taxes, cutting regulations, and cutting services. He wants to privatize Medicare. He wants to release wilderness land for off-road vehicles. He wants to do all of the things that are not in our best interest, because clearly they represent the interests of his real constituents, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Blue Cross, the people who've donated those millions that we've been reading about to his political career.
How do we turn the economy around? How do we provide jobs? What's the step there?
We have to look at the long term. We have a bad habit in this country of solving yesterday's problems. More than anything, we need to concentrate on education. We have some of the lowest rates of high school and college failure to graduate in America. We have some of the highest poverty rates, as I mentioned, in America. We have terrible air quality. You can't blame that on politicians, but I do blame them for doing things, and specifically Kevin McCarthy, for advocating that we undo the decision we made to launch high-speed rail. Things that we can do to mitigate our air quality problems, mitigate our unemployment problems, and for crying out loud, we've got to start investing in our schools and not treat them like part of the problem. We treat teachers, politicians do, treat teachers like the enemy. They're educating our children, our future. If we don't start turning this around and become who we were, become the shining city on the hill that Ronald Reagan talked about, if we don't do that, we're lost. We have to do these things.
You know, the Southern Valley has been characterized as the Appalachia of the West. Incredible poverty, a lot of social issues, and a lot of it starts with poverty. What can a congressman, an independent congressman of all types, do about it? The problem in the Southern Valley.
Well, the first thing that I do, being a journalist going to Congress, is to tell the truth, to point out the hypocrisy, to point out the backroom deals. These 435 members of the House have it great. They've got the world's coziest, wealthy club, and they rub each other's backs. And I understand deal-making is part of the process. You have to cooperate with each other. But when that becomes the main goal, then we know that we're going down the wrong path. We have institutionalized corruption in Congress. We've got to take the money out of this. And the way to do that is by, in my view, by making it illegal to give money to someone who holds public office or someone who seeks public office. We have to make that a crime.
That's a huge change in the way things have gone. It's actually moving in the opposite direction, of
Certainly.
course, with the Citizens United decision, and
Well, I think the Supreme Court, forgive me for questioning the legal minds of the Great Nine, but I think they made a fundamental error. Not about the personhood of corporations. That was technically correct. But the mistake that they made was prior to that in saying that money is speech. Money is not speech. This is speech. Talking is speech.
Money is money.
Money is a facility for speech. But you cannot equate the two. They're not the same thing. And I think that some next Supreme Court needs to reverse that decision.
Yeah. Should we...
Let's go to line one. Sandy's on the line, calling all the way from Canada. Hello, Sandy.
Hi. I found you guys on the internet, and I'm pretty intrigued. And I really want to ask, I've always wanted to ask an American politician this question, because my friends and we joke about this all the time. And I really want to know when Americans are going to get over their fear of the word socialism and realize that a private, not-for-profit, single-payer health system like we have is actually good for them, and that actually, if you look at healthcare in terms of percentage of GDP, I believe Canada spends 9 or 10%, and you guys spend something like 18 or 20%. And if you were to actually use your exact same GDP percentage, you could truly be the best healthcare system in the world. But actually, you guys kind of suck at it, but you want to believe that you're the best at it. So we all laugh at you guys, and I've always wanted to ask an American politician this question. You don't have a problem with the word socializing when it comes to paying people on Wall Street. What's wrong with a not-for-profit healthcare system where everyone gets treated?
Terry, she called you a politician.
Ooh, well, maybe a politician wannabe, an aspiring politician. I'll take that. A more telling number, in my view, is how much money we spend per capita on health care. We spend in excess of $7,500 per person per year on health care, which is roughly twice as much as the next most expensive country in the world. I think Canada spends about half of what we do. The Japanese spend like $2,000 or $2,500 per person per year, a third of what we do, and they all get better results than we do. And, of course, it's the same problem. It's the money. It's the fact that members of Congress and the president made an unholy deal with the big pharmaceutical companies, with the big insurance companies, with the private hospitals. They like things the way they are just fine. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. That's the reason we have the healthcare system we do. It did not used to be this bad. In the 70s, we spent $300 or $400 per person. Yeah, a lot of things have gone up since then. Gasoline's more expensive. Everything costs more, but not that astronomically more, to the point where it is the single greatest threat to our economy. And Kevin McCarthy thought it was a great idea to kill Medicare, to kill the proposed reform of health care, and they couldn't do it in Congress, so they ended up going to court. I'm sure the Supreme Court will make some decision that will make somebody unhappy. I'm unhappy because we are treating health care like a luxury. And we need, just as we need basic firefighting services and basic law enforcement services, we need basic health care services for everyone. Every man, woman, and child needs to have access to a doctor. Every man, woman, and child in America needs to be encouraged to stay healthy, because that's in everyone's best interest. It makes us more productive. It makes us safer. We all need this.
All right, very good. We're talking with Terry Phillips, one of the candidates for U.S. Congressman to defeat Kevin McCarthy in the 23rd District, and we'd love to hear from you. 842-KERN, 1-800-640-KERN. It's Californian Radio right here on Kern Radio, News Talk 1180, and we'll be back.
It's Californian Radio. Bakersfield's newspaper is on Bakersfield's talk station. Kern Radio News Talk 1180.
Made in the USA, TNT Liberty Safes is locally owned and has been serving the Central Valley for over 21 years and have over 300 gun, home, fire, and office safes in stock. Long gun safes starting at just $449. Liberty Safe technology allows extra features to be built into their safes, such as lighting, deluxe accessory door panels, and dehumidifiers to keep your valuables dry. The knowledgeable staff at TNT Liberty Safes can help pick out the right safe to meet your needs. All Centurion 20s and up are made in the USA, so don't be fooled by the cheap China imitation safes. Buy American and have a lifetime warranty. Delivery and in-home installation available, or we'll load it into your truck for free. You can also apply for financing and purchase a safe online at TNTLibertySafe.com. TNT Liberty Safes is located at 7104 Golden State Highway, or call 393-3782. That's 393-3782. Is it safe or is it Liberty Safe?
Are you throwing money out the window? If your windows are old and drafty, the answer is probably yes. Our vinyl replacement windows will keep your home warmer all winter. Best of all, they practically pay for themselves with the substantial energy savings you'll see month after month. Brand new vinyl windows from Window World of Bakersfield. Any size, single hung or two-light single slider installed, starting at only $189. Sliders up to 6 feet wide by 6 feet tall. Single hung up to 4 feet wide by 7 feet tall. Additional charges may apply for Solar Zone Low E windows, depending on state and county energy regulations. Ask your local Window World location for more details. Call today, 871-1510. Simply the best for less. Call Window World of Bakersfield, 871-1510. Window World installed a record-breaking 1.5 million windows in 2010. See our ad in the Bakersfield Californian.
As Kern County's most trusted hospice agency, Hoffman Hospice considers it a privilege to care for people during the final season of their lives. Hospice care is about the freedom to choose when choices seem few. You may refer yourself, a loved one, or a friend to hospice care and may receive hospice services wherever you call home for any terminal illness. At Hoffman Hospice, you are in control. For more answers to your end-of-life questions, call Hoffman Hospice at 661-410-1010.
With over 30 years of experience, trust the experts at Fabre Jewelers with all your fine jewelry needs. We carry a huge selection of fine jewelry and timepieces. Plus, we have an in-house jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? We pay top dollar for your scrap gold and silver. Our competitors say it, we do it. Check us out on the web at FabreJewelers.com or stop by and pay us a visit at 4560 Coffee Road in the Vaughan Shopping Center. Cash in that scrap gold today. Call us at 661-588-7503. Again, 661-588-7503.
When you're considering a fungicide for your vegetable crop, there are plenty of what-ifs. What if it rains? What if I'm about to harvest? What if I'm marketing overseas? For all of the what-ifs, there's Revis. With its patented lock and float technology, Revis is rain fast in just 60 minutes. It offers short pre-harvest and re-entry intervals. And Revis is already approved in many countries around the world. So ask your PCA about Revis today. Always read and follow label instructions before buying and using Syngenta products.
It's Sean Hannity. Weekdays from noon to 3 after MoneyWise.
Now back to Californian Radio on Current Radio News Talk 1180.
And we're back. Robert Price is your host. It's 842-KERN, 1-800-640-KERN. We're talking with Terry Phillips, candidate for U.S. Congressman in the 23rd District. Let's go back to the phones. David, you're on Californian Radio.
Hey, how are you? I'm calling from San Francisco, so I don't want to break the race, but it sounds like your guest may be a fan of Thomas Jefferson. I'm not sure if he's familiar with Jefferson's second inaugural, but he talks about setting up the economy so it reflects the disparity between the economy of farmers versus commerce. And in it, he talks about the economy should be based on nature with commerce as its handmaiden, so that commerce can't force the prices so high that agriculture or nature can't, that they have to collapse solely due to these artificial dreams of commerce. And I wonder if he's aware that Thomas Jefferson's being taken out of the textbooks. Many of the neocons really hate him. And the one thing I wanted to raise, and this goes to that issue, is water and...
Real quick, David.
Yeah. Well, as you may be aware, with fracking, they're essentially pumping massive millions and millions of gallons down into the aquifers in order to float the last of the oil out of the ground, and that locks water out of the economy forever. That water becomes polluted and locked into the ground, and so that water can't go into reuse. As in normal agriculture, once one farmer's done with it, it either evaporates or goes into the lower ditch and goes to the next guy.
David, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We've got so little time here. I'm sorry to hear that Jefferson's being taken out of school texts. I hope that's not widely true. I have not. I don't recall his second inaugural address. I appreciate the reference, and I'll take a look at that. But agriculture in general and water issues in particular are so important to us here, and I'm glad you brought that to our attention. It's a key issue for us here. Okay,
let's jump to Matthew on line 2. You're on Californian Radio. Matthew, go ahead.
Hi, Terry. Your old job's not the same without you. I miss you, and I'm
Thank you.
Our congressman is gone. He's going to do what the Republicans want, and I called him up. Or there was a community forum he was having on a telephone. Our phone rang and asked me if I wanted to listen or participate. So I pushed 1, and he came on the phone, and I said, would you like to comment on a Washington think tank study that said 620,000 people are going to be able to quit their jobs if Obamacare passes because they're only keeping their jobs for the insurance? And he didn't hear the word 600,000. Twice I kept repeating it, and he wouldn't acknowledge it. And then a computer voice came on and said, you can no longer speak, you can listen. And I just felt that he didn't want to give the Democrats any credit for anything Obama wanted to do. And I don't like him.
Well, sadly, Matthew, your experience is not unique. I've heard from a lot of people, Democrats and Republicans, as well as non-aligned voters and members of other parties, who have the same complaint. They're dissatisfied that our congressman does not listen to us. He listens to people who give him a lot of money. But for the rest of us, unfortunately, it's been an uphill struggle. And my commitment is to listen to everyone, to represent everyone's best interests, to learn, That's what I've done my whole life as a journalist. I've tried to be of service. That's what I believe in, not only to myself, but to my fellow citizens. And I'm sorry that you've had this bad experience with him, but you're not the only one, and I'm sorry even more for that.
Okay, Matthew, thanks for the call, and let's go to Don on line 3. Go ahead, Don. Make it fast, please.
Hey, thanks, guys. Hey, Terry. Quick question. I've looked at Kevin McCarthy's record since he's been in Congress, and in legislative terms, he's done virtually nothing. I mean, he's voted essentially to kill the auto industry, but as the number 3 guy in the House, he hasn't really done anything. What would you do differently, and what do you think of his record?
Well, you're being unfair to Kevin McCarthy. He hasn't done nothing. In 6 years in Congress, he has authored one bill that became law, and that was to rename the Buck Owens Post Office. I think I can do better than that.
Okay, we appreciate the calls, guys.
You know what? Do we have a little more time?
Just a couple minutes.
A couple minutes here to tell us about. Congress has a role in the international stuff.
Sure.
What's your take on what's going on in the world, and what can Congress do about it?
Well, to pat myself on the back just a little bit, I've been around the world as a foreign correspondent and in other capacities. I think I know a little bit about what goes on beyond our shores. I know that we used to be the one place in the world that everybody relied on to be the honest broker, to be the salvation of democracy. And now a lot of people look at us as a threat to democracy. I don't want us to be a threat to democracy. I want us to be an example. I want us to be engaged. I want our engagements to be more than military. We need a strong defense, but we also need strong diplomacy, and we're losing that. We need to become who we once were.
Should every country in the world be a democracy? Should they try to emulate who we are?
You know, that's a complicated word, democracy. The Soviet Union considered itself a democracy, and technically, I guess they were. What I would like the world to be is fair. I would like people to treat each other honestly. Even here, I would like us to do that. Our democracy has a few rough edges, but I think that what we can do is engage people to give them hope to improve their lives, to improve everyone's quality of life.
Terry, where do we get more information about you as a person, as a candidate, and your candidacy?
The website is phillipsforcongress.com. People can call me. I have a phone. It's a local number, 661-835-1497. I'm happy to talk to anyone and everyone.
Are you accepting campaign contributions?
I am, and I haven't taken a lot, but I don't intend to fight this based on money. I'm trying to do things like this to meet people, and I have a lot of encouragement and friends, and I hope they will continue to spread the word.
So I asked your other opponent, Mr. Parker, what do you have to do to defeat Kevin McCarthy? In 30 seconds or less, what do you have to do to make that happen?
The good news is Kevin McCarthy will defeat himself. I just have to continue telling the truth about him. Harry Truman said that I just tell the truth. They only think I'm giving them hell.
All right. Terry Phillips, thank you, sir. Appreciate you being on the show today. Bob, always a pleasure.
Learned a lot from our guest today, Mr. Radio here.
Yeah.
He's almost as slick as you are, Jeff.
Well, you know what? We're from the same generation.
Yes.
You mean old?
I'm just bowing myself.
I'm going to have to shave my beard now.
Yeah.
Terry, thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Bob, thank you, sir. Hop, always a pleasure. Tomorrow it's Lois Henry, the Wednesday edition of Californian Radio, right here on Kern Radio News Talk 1180. Ciao, everybody. Bye.